Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm glad y'all are already here. That's exciting. What's not so exciting is this reunion. So, let's get into this Love is Blind Season 9 reunion. Welcome to the Miscellaneous channel. We do miscellaneous things. I'm Zoleni. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on the channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. Yay, the button worked. Let's roll the intro. We got different opinions in the chat already. That M Blue said it was the best reunion. Alyssa says all the time fillers. I think I'm more on Alicia's side here. But it's hard because we did not have any marriages this season, so I feel like that was a key component missing from the reunion, and I think when we talked about the finale, that was what we predicted would be the kind of issue, because it's kind of like, we don't care. What do we care? And I had never given much thought to like how important it was to have married couples at the reunion, because usually their updates have been very like, we're good and here's a montage of our year together. But it really like makes the reunion feel like, what's the point? If we don't have any married couples to like check in on and see, are they still together and how like cute they are and whatever. So yeah, definitely an interesting, unprecedented one. I feel like they phoned it in a little bit. Like, we didn't have old contestants coming back. We didn't have like any teasers for next year, next season. Teasers for Perfect Match, even like nothing. It was just like, let's get in and get out. But yeah, I want to recap what we learned. I mean, a lot of the tea we got that was, supposedly new for the reunion was not new to us. A lot of the tea has come out already on podcasts and via paparazzi photos, specifically for Megan, which would have been a big bomb for sure if we didn't see those photos. It would be a gag for sure. But yeah, I'm glad y'all are here. Let me know your thoughts on the reunion. I just got back from DJing at the radio station because Netflix threw a curveball and scheduled this reunion for exactly the time I was meant to be DJing. So I feel like I'm pulling double duty. I feel like Sabrina Carpenter at SNL. I'm the musical guest and I'm hosting. So that's why the stream was a little later. But I'm here and I'm energized. Live streaming is kind of like less scary than the radio, even though more people tune into live streams probably than me on the radio, because I'm a very beginner DJ and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. And I was watching the reunion while my music was just playing, and I was just like on the side watching and taking notes. Let's see. Oh, and Blue says, we found out Casey and Megan dated a lot of the cast. Dawn says, everyone felt too reunion prepped, very stale. Too try hard to make as many people as possible look good. Yeah, there was a lot of damage control at this reunion going on. And like, in one sense, it's nice that the contestants were kind of looking out for each other and kind of trying to like tame the fan base a little bit and be like, I forgive this person, that kind of thing. There was a good amount of that, which does feel very like prepped and thought out. But it's probably a good thing because fandoms just take things way too far. That's why I go hard on the disclaimers, and it's like, it's really not that serious. Like, no TV show warrants death threats or anything of that sort. Music Gal says, I felt like all the tea was spilt on the internet before. Exactly. That's how I feel as well. Luna says they were trying to tug our hearts with Sparkle Megan, but it was already out. Also, it's not technically Love is Blind, not to get, yeah. Mickey says, I wish Nick and Vanessa would let them get their feelings out without trying to make sure it ends on a good note. It's fine if they don't want to be friends. That's true. Nick and Vanessa were stepping in quite a bit, trying to, like, I don't know, reach compromises with the cast members and things, and, like, trying to resolve every fight, when it's better to leave things as they are. Like, it's already been so long since the time, like, a lot of things people were like, I don't remember, which I think at times is a cop-out, but maybe at times it's real for certain people because they don't really remember. The basketball thing, yeah, we'll talk about it. There was some filler for sure, and it was like random stuff like that, and not even having, I'm just shocked they didn't have anybody, like Lauren and Cameron, AD and Ollie. They love AD and Ollie. Like, anyone from season 8, the Christmas couple, the British couple that got engaged last season for UK. They had teased them in one of the deleted scenes, like, introing a thing, so I assumed, like, for sure they were going to be there at the reunion. Kieran and Megan, I keep calling her that, I hope that's her name. Yeah, they weren't there. Nobody was there. It was all, like, significant others of the cast and family, and nobody else. They were working hard to clean up Casey's image. I don't know what's going on with Casey. I mean, she's definitely a main character of this reunion and the post-show stuff. Let me get into, I guess, couple by couple. That's how they went through these. I'm just going to go in order of what we heard. And we can look at the looks too, which are not nothing that crazy with the looks going on. But the first people they talked about and checked in with was Megan and Jordan, which had the biggest bump, which I was surprised actually they put the Megan bomb at the beginning, because I thought they would make that a thing. Oh, Silver Plats, welcome to the Pink Poochie Club. If you don't know, we do have on this channel, I have a members club. It's called the Pink Poochies, and you get special golden goblet emoji for the chat and other little emojis. And a Poochie by your name when you comment. Okay, yeah, so Jordan and Megan, the big bomb is that Megan is a mom. I wasn't sure, at least for the reunion, she was going to be pregnant, like barely pregnant, and now she has a kid. But no, at the reunion, she had like a 1-month-old, which is crazy, because she looked like the same. I was like, oh, I guess, sorry, let me switch. I just want to see Megan's look here. Oh, sorry, I went too high on the mic. Is it this? Okay. I forget which is. Okay. So, she looks great. That's insane. She just had a baby. And the timeline was kind of crazy. We did learn who the bald man was in the paparazzi photos. His name is Paul. That's all we know. Yeah, apparently they got pregnant 3 months into dating, which is like kind of a crazy timeline. Not enough questions for Annie. No season 10 announcement. Should be either Detroit or Columbus. I heard Boston for season 10, but I don't know that that's confirmed. So we knew the bomb about Megan, that she had a baby. So that's something. Sorry, my mic is going in and out. I might need a new battery. Please give me patience. I'm keeping an eye on it. The battery's out real quick. Is that better? I think that might be better. I'll keep an eye on it. I just had to change the battery on the mic. Sorry. Okay, so nothing new with Megan. Kind of crazy. She also kept the pregnancy really secret, which is kind of crazy. Like the paparazzi kind of, I think it was The Sun or TMZ or something, that caught them. I feel like she kept it secret for so long, but she got caught in the end, and it kind of spoiled the surprise. But I mean, what does she care about, reunion tea? She doesn't gain anything really from it. Okay, good. I'm glad the audio's better. Did she reveal anything else? Paul. She also said like her relationship with Paul wasn't quite easy at first. I I don't really care that much about who these people are dating, outside of like after the show. It kind of feels like, well, yeah, they're gonna go keep dating and like who cares, kind of. Unless it's like they date and fall in love and get married with like someone from the cast, I guess, because that is like a new dimension to the experiment. But otherwise, it's kind of like, well, yeah, they're just gonna go back to dating. Not that big a deal. Rumor is that Megan called paparazzi on herself. I would believe it because who is following these people like a paparazzi? Like, I guess, but even the show isn't that big anymore or currently or anything. Like, it's not that serious, you know? Paul is the CEO per a TikTok journalist. Is it Storytime with Ricky? She's my favorite. She's really good. But I can't keep up. She posts so much stuff. She gets all the tea. But that makes sense. Jordan looks so sad the whole time. Yeah, okay, so Jordan, we didn't get anything new. He was very, like, on his best behavior, good PR, kind of reactions and responses to things. Apparently, there was some, like, Mike situation, or he was kind of friends with Mike after the show, and then Mike told him, like, hey, on the show, I'm mean to you, mean about you or something, and apologized. And also there was like they made a whole moment about that Mike said something about diabetes, which I did not even remember in the slightest because this season was so ridiculous. Like, the last thing on my mind is Mike making fun of diabetes or whatever, which sounded like it was an ignorant comment about, like, his diet made him have diabetes or something, but Jordan cleared the air and was like, I forgave Mike, he apologized, he donated to a charity. It was like a whole little PR situation on Mike's behalf, which I just don't feel like it was that necessary because in my head, like, that wasn't anything anyone was talking about. Oh, thank you so much, Luna, for the super chat / donation. I did see Luca's mom is gorgeous. Yeah, I have seen. She looks great. Jordan looked great. Love this suit, this pose. He's eating. Okay, endocrine doctors were the ones sending him hate on Instagram and TikTok. Like, I don't doubt he said something ignorant. I just, so much happened this season that I was like, that happened. But, they cleared the air and Jordan forgave him and he educated the public about type 1 versus type 2. So, it's all water under the bridge. And this cast was trying to, like, stick up for each other and kind of, like, dwindle down the hate because it's, I mean, I think it's crazy for all of them. They get it from all directions about every little thing they did or didn't do or whatever. So, that was just interesting it was just like a whole moment to, like, educate the people on diabetes, which I guess is fine. Or yeah, good, whatever. But we also didn't address so many other things, from the season. When Nick Lachey said, you should be a spy, I thought, there's spies, then there's paparazzi. He was saying that about Megan keeping the pregnancy so secret. Mike made that comment to Megan in the pods. Okay. About the diabetes. I mean, yeah, Mike was taking digs at Jordan all through the pods. I just didn't remember that being one of them. But I don't doubt that it was. It's just not one of the ones I remember. Jordan was making funny faces. That's true. He was making a lot of faces about Casey, which I think were valid. They were valid faces. And he was just like, oh, I have ADHD. Don't look at me. So he never, like, the Lachey's tried. They tried to pull a Jeff Probst and be like, I see you making faces. What do you have to say? But he would just be like, oh, no, I'm just fidgety, whatever. So he never, like, said what he was making faces about. But it was funny. And Annalise said, still do not understand why the cast is so mean to Nick. Like, I think he has problematic views, but they are so mean to him about his personality. I mean, they apologized. Okay, we'll get to Nick. But I found it very interesting that Joe apologized very genuinely to Nick and did not apologize very genuinely to all the women that he encountered and hurt in various ways. So Nick got an apology, at least, from Joe, based on the comments about he's so annoying and I hate him, but his hat is cool or whatever. Okay, who was next? Next was the whole Patrick and Casey first. And Casey is like in everyone's business, and I wonder if it's strategic. I think it might be. Because did they say, and correct me if I'm wrong because I was multitasking, Casey knew about Megan's pregnancy, and it sounded like she was the only one, and she kept it secret, and that was like the least of Casey's involvement in the cast stuff, but Casey was, I couldn't even follow at a certain point the Casey's web because, okay, so the Patrick stuff first. There was a lot of filler here, and they argue about, the scene and Patrick watching it back when she kind of broke up with him without saying anything, and it was all the same stuff, like he just never got closure, never got clarity, all that. And they talk about the ring. That was the main thing. And Ali is the only one defending Casey, saying Netflix provides the ring, so Casey doesn't need to give it back. And Patrick's side of the story is that, Casey's side of the story is that Patrick said at the breakup, you can keep the ring. But Patrick's side is that he assumed they would still try at their relationship back in Denver, so he was saying, like, keep the ring for now. Maybe we'll end up engaged, whatever. So he was, not following the breakup as we saw, the whole scene and everything, because she wasn't saying anything about breaking up. And he was kind of turning a blind eye to the hint of it all. But she is trying to, like, clear her name about this ring thing, and she says, I have the ring, and I will give it to you here and now if you want it. And I feel like she kind of wanted him to say, no, you keep it at this point. But he was like, no, yeah, I'll take it back. And so he took the ring back. But then they had this whole segment about playing basketball, and there was, like, a guy there from the LA Clippers, a player, like a pro basketball player. And they were all shooting baskets, and they bet the ring on who won the baskets, and she won in the end. So she got the ring back. It was so... The basketball, I'm just like, okay. We were really running out of ideas and segments for this reunion. And also, it wasn't even like a guy from the Nuggets, which I believe is the Denver team. Right? That's not Denver Nuggets. That sounds right. Yeah, I'm thinking Phoenix Suns. Okay, Denver Nuggets. It wasn't even a player from, like, their city. It was an LA guy. I was like, okay, I guess whoever was in town. But the audience audibly reacting. I mean, Jordan's faces were killing me because Casey was saying, like, you told me you could keep the ring, and BSing. And also she kept saying, like, it broke my heart watching that scene, and she wanted to protect him. And that's when Jordan was, like, doing all the reacting. And it was just like, why is she still spinning this? And it's hard because there are so many other allegations against Casey this whole reunion. And after this whole Patrick stuff, I don't believe Casey at all. And even if she's right and other people are making false allegations, like, I don't believe her. I don't believe her at all, because she couldn't break up with Patrick at all. Like, say anything to his face. And yeah, so there were a lot of allegations thrown. So okay, anything else with Patrick? No, just the same things. He never got closure. And her excuse was like, oh, he wanted a phone call immediately when we got back to Denver and this crap. And I don't know, it just all felt like BS. And then so Casey dated Joe, we knew this because Joe's current girlfriend, an influencer named Avery Madison, no relation, Avery Madison went on a podcast and said all this stuff. And the stories we heard at the reunion is the stuff she said, that the pool party, whatever, all the stuff. And so they say, what do they say? That Casey and Joe dated for about like a month or 2 months? Yes, for a month and a half. And Joe says it fizzled out. And that they were both each other's third choices in the pods. So they had a degree of connection in the pods. And yeah, they went on dates. And Joe said it fizzled out, but later Casey says, like, she was struggling with that. She was hurt by him. She was crying at the pool party because she had feelings for him. So it kind of feels like Joe fizzled it out. And that was not Casey's choice, essentially. Yeah, you can also tell how close a lot of the cast was, that a lot of them dated each other. How small is Denver? I think that's become more and more common in these seasons lately, that the cast is all dating each other. And so Madison at the reunion was pretty salty about Casey because she feels Casey was coming on to Joe when they were engaged, and that had a direct impact on Joe breaking up with her, breaking off the engagement. So she's pretty upset with Casey, alleges that Casey had her paws her paws on Joe's chest after the Pod Squad party, and that she was making googly eyes, and Joe said this to her. And I think Madison is valid in being mad at him and her. I mean, she should be more mad at him because she was because she was saying that, like, he had this mental breakdown at the tux fittings, but then that same night was like they were all hanging out with his friends, and he was saying he was excited and, like, acting like nothing had happened. She didn't even know about the tux situation, breakdown, running away, whatever, all that. So I think that was shady, and that was, like, an interesting tidbit, I guess, about their relationship. But Joe, I'm still confused. I mean, we already talked about this because we knew that he dated Casey, and then Casey and Avery were getting mad at each other, or Avery was mad at Casey because Casey was coming on to Joe when he was with Avery. But then Joe said at the reunion that at that pool party, he wasn't dating Avery technically, but they got there together. It was so weird, and it just felt like such fuckboy behavior of, like, situationship crap and not labeling and on and off and mixed signals. I don't know what these women see in Joe. He debuted the stash at this reunion. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, but he has no personality that we could see. I mean, maybe it doesn't translate on TV, but the paws on his chest, yeah, I believe it. It sounds like, I mean, there's a pattern with the paws on the chest story and then the pool party story. It's the same thing that like Casey was coming on to Joe when he was committed to someone else, loosely committed to someone. I don't know the Avery situationship, but Avery recounted it on the podcast like her and Joe were together, and Casey knew, and to her face was like, "Y'all are great together, cool." And then, as soon as Avery left the party, Casey was like on Joe's lap and doing all the things. So I don't know. The allegations all sound eerily similar towards Casey, and that makes me believe that these things are true. I don't think it's what influenced Joe completely to break up with Madison. I mean, I think him having a wandering eye informed his decision, but I think it didn't matter who it was. Like, if it was Casey or someone else, he would have realized. I don't know. But Joe just annoys me, and the whole season made me mad. As flawed as Madison was at times, or needy or whatever, but I don't see it as such. I mean, I don't fault her too much when he wasn't giving much. And there was another thing, Madison related. I'm looking at my notes. Oh, the body shaming. We talked about that. And Madison talked about how hurt she was seeing that back. And that now that invited a lot of comments from the audience about her body. And that was like one of the most hurtful things. And I get that. That's unfortunate. I mean, not to make it about looks, she looked great at this reunion. She looked so fierce. She probably had the best, I don't know, glow up of anybody, if I had to give that award. But yeah, I mean, the body shaming moment, or like the part where he's like, I'm more into smaller women, whatever, was one of my first big icks with Joe and red flags, and it was just kind of sad to see. And he apologized, kind of, but it was very like, I'm sorry, but I didn't mean it like that. He said it was like a 5-minute conversation about their previous types. And he was like, we were always fighting and fucking, so I was attracted to you. Which I don't know that was the best tactful way of making her feel better. And I feel like she was like bitter and salty this reunion, but not to like a degree that was like undignified or like she was stooping low. Like I feel like she was choosing her words carefully because the Lachey's were like, the Lachey's just want everyone to be like, I forgive you, okay, closure, moving on, peace, whatever. But he kind of apologizes for the body shaming, and then the Lachey's are like, okay, Madison, do you feel good now? Do you feel closure? And she was like, I mean, sure, I accept the apology, but, I mean, it's as good as it's gonna get. And I think that makes sense. Like, that is as good as it's gonna get with Joe. And, like, I thought when I was talking earlier about his apology to Nick, it felt like way more genuine than this apology, because he was like a lot more, I don't know, it felt like he actually felt bad about the Nick scene, and he was very drunk in that scene, so his sober self was probably like embarrassed or whatever. But to Nick, he was like, that was such a crummy thing to do, I'm sorry, dude, kind of meaning it. And then in this situation, it felt more like the I'm sorry was like the very last tagged on thing at the end of him being like him making some excuses about why he said those comments, and that he still had sex with her, so she's obviously attracted to him. Also, apparently, they got drinks one time after their engagement ended, and they made out, and he cried. Joe is an enigma. He's an enigma. And, you know, I'm happy to leave him in the past after this season. Because it sounds like he broke Casey's heart too. And that she was crying at the pool party. She was doing a lot at this pool party. She was on his lap. She was telling his girlfriend, not girlfriend, situationship that they were great together. She was crying in the corner, according to the girls. All over Joe. Like, please. Please save us. Save us from this man. And Silver Platt says, how bad is the dating scene in Denver that this man is hot shit? That's my question. I mean, people say the dating scene is bad in Denver. I hear it. I've heard it before. But damn. It was just a lot of drama, and it was kind of hard to follow, and it was kind of like, who cares in the end? But, you know, that's kind of how it goes for couples that don't get married, or... I mean, this was probably the most interesting of, like, dating after the pods, because it was someone from the show. But we already knew, so there was no element of surprise here. I was surprised about them meeting up and making out. Joe stays with the mixed signals. He does. Okay. And Kate was also very, like, in the web of things going on, because she's close friends with Madison and Avery, Joe's current girlfriend, and she's kind of in the middle there, but everyone's a girl's girl, and they're all fine with that, I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't think Madison's beef is with Avery, like, it's with Joe and Casey to an extent. Like, Avery hasn't done anything to Madison. She came after they ended. Also, okay, Kate also dated Brendan. Was that right? Okay, she went on one date with Brendan. Who Brendan... I keep forgetting he was on here. He wanted a house with a blue door. That's all I remember. That's it. And yeah, Kate is single, but yeah, she went on one day, it didn't work out. But it didn't work out because Casey was all over Brendan. Casey is trying every avenue. She wasn't with Patrick. She was with Joe. Brendan. Was there someone else? I guess that's not that many, but that's still a lot in one little pool. I don't know. Casey, what was she doing? So yeah, she was all over Brendan when Kate and him started kind of talking, but sounds like it fizzled out. It was at the pool party. Oh my god, all over Brendan was at the same pool party as when she was all over Joe. She was busy. She was like Alison De Laurentiis and Pretty Little Liars. Like, she did it all that night. That's so random. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So, nothing came of Brendan and Kate. I think that's that whole web. Oh, okay. Kate's actual main connection was Nick, right? So, let's get into Nick. Sorry, he's like on the edge there. I made this in a rush. They must have all been drunk at this pool party. Patrick did say they were all very drunk at this pool party. Or at least he was. And he was like, please stop asking me to corroborate things. He refused to corroborate any of this. So, Nick and Kate just doesn't feel like Nick is genuine. Nick does apologize. He's very... I don't know, he's always very rehearsed in his apologies. He says the right things mostly, but, like, in his apologies and things like that, but I don't know. Kate just doesn't buy it, doesn't feel it's genuine. And she's maintained this all season, and she said it again at the reunion. She mentioned this ChatGPT comment that was like in the trailer, and it was a moment of like, it feels like you put in how to pick up women into ChatGPT, which is a great way to describe Nick this season. And she also feels like he was here for the wrong reasons, as we hear on The Bachelor, which is like he wanted an audience, not a marriage. Kate does say he was repeating a lot of the same lines, and we did see some of that with Kate and Annie, and like how he pivoted immediately to Annie once Kate said she wouldn't be down for religion. So we did see that, and she just kind of maintains that this repetition thing was shady. Why they didn't ask about the homophobia. We predicted this in the finale stream, that they were not going to confront the homophobia because that's just not cool right now to be against homophobia. It's just difference of opinion. It's just not mainstream, and the show is not gonna stand up for something when it's hard. No way. It's unfortunate because, yeah, and online they have blamed it on the edit a lot. Again, I mean that's what they maintain, and I'm like, you said what you said. There's not, you can't. They didn't make you AI like say say things like that. So yeah. I mean, it's a conservative leaning show. Like the contestants are on there. The show attracts conservative leaning people. We're gonna get this right now. It's more mainstream to say these things, and yeah, that's unfortunate. He has like apologized online. I mentioned it last time, so he didn't like double down online. It felt like a lot of his apologies very like, you know, scripted kind of, but better than, I guess, doubling down and being like, yeah. I don't think the show pays. Who was asking about paying? I thought the cast would hold back some details in these podcast interviews so that the reunion was still exciting, but no, they told all in the podcast interviews. Yeah. And A theorizes the podcast pay and the show doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I think their NDAs just must not. I think it's weird because it's like their lives. So their NDAs are probably very clear. Like, you can't say you said yes or no at the altar. You can't say, like, it's probably like certain specific things, but other things, there's just so many things that could happen in their lives that the NDA doesn't like cover everything. And like the solution is probably an NDA that's like, can't talk on anywhere, can't be on podcasts, can't be. But the podcast thing is kind of newer. I feel like in the 2020s it's become really big. So maybe moving forward, we'll see reality TV like tighten the grips more on those contracts about podcasts specifically. Because I think it's still kind of new frontier, and like the contracts haven't caught up, honestly, to the culture around the podcast. Everyone was there for an audience, not a marriage. I agree. Kate said that about Nick, but I mean, Casey's trying every entry point here that she can. Do you think production got sued and loosened the contract? I mean, yeah, that's true. They have been in a lot of hot water with the litigation of mistreatment of cast, dangerous situations. There's multiple lawsuits against Love is Blind. So yeah, they could have just like softened it up to avoid more lawsuits, because I bet that's not cheap. Okay, so what else with Nick and Annie? Annie was pumped, and I had noticed that in like TikToks and interviews she's done recently. She is pumped up in the face. But But yeah, we didn't hear much from her. She was hardly there. Um, Annie disagrees with Kate about Nick not being genuine, so she was still kind of standing up for him. Um, she does feel like she was forcing the relationship once she watched it back, and that it was more one-sided, um, which is fair, I guess. They didn't ask anything about like her drinking and how that affected the relationship. They didn't do it of Anton either. I think they're probably too scared and it's dicey. I don't know. It's like implying. I don't know. I worry, or I don't worry, but I think they don't want to open themselves up for these contestants to be like, they implied I was an alcoholic. It's slander or whatever. Dawn says they're full of it about the homophobia, trying to backtrack. I haven't even seen Annie apologize or backtrack on socials. Not that I've been like really digging. Nick's came up like on my thing, and last I checked her profile, I didn't see anything about it. But yeah, I mean, Nick was very much at this reunion trying to be very apologetic. He was apologizing to Kate, apologizing to Annie as well. He was saying like, I understand why the boys found me annoying. Like, he was very on best behavior, trying to make himself look good. And like, he was taking accountability, responsibility for anything he did wrong. It felt very thought out, which is how Nick has been this whole time. So, I mean, that was Nick's whole thing. He was just apologizing the whole reunion. Annie says they're friendly enough now, which I think means they don't talk, but they don't hate each other. And yeah, the last thing about Nick was the whole boys thing and how Nick like apologized to Joe, or understood like in the pods he was, not disclosing his connections. He was being very reserved and alienating himself from the boys. So he was trying to find like his part in it, and Joe, like I already said, he apologized to him for the comments. And that the excuse, or like the reason, which I kind of felt at the time, was that Joe was really good friends with Brendan, who was Annie's other choice that she broke up with and broke his heart and all that. So that's part of why Joe really hated Nick. And Nick has no bad blood. He was trying to be cool with everybody. Okay, who else? I didn't even talk about these looks. All the looks were fine. Kate's is interesting, but okay. Yeah, nothing too exciting. I thought Madison looked really fierce. Yeah, Kate's dress is a choice. Annie's hair looked good. I think that's something to celebrate. Allie always looks great, of course. Anton is giving emo, very emo. Where are you? Very that, but fine, casual. Allie and Anton, okay. Trying to think. Trying to think if we got anything new. I mean, they rehashed some of the things, but the bathroom conversation with Melissa, he says she's crazy. She wanted her 15 minutes of fame, which that argument does not make sense to me, because like she did it in the bathroom, very like sneaky-ish, and then we never saw her again. So I don't know. I feel like if she wanted her 15 minutes, she would have done it like at the table and more camera time. But whatever. So he downplayed like, I've been to some strip clubs, but not that many, and whatever. I mean, whatever. what do I care? Actually, he's not single. I was going to say he's a single man. He's not single. He has a girlfriend. She was in the audience. Good for him, I guess. And Allie talks about her side of the strip club thing, and we find out, which I thought was kind of interesting. I had made the assumption they had a conversation about the strip club revelation, and they cut it from the edit. That's what I thought. And then at the reunion, we find out they just never had the conversation. When she was like, "You're in trouble," at the end of that, when they were at the restaurant with Melissa and his friend. So they just never talked about it. So the conversation didn't happen. And they were both like, "Yeah, I don't know, we were just busy." And I was like, wait, what? The conversation never happened. I was over here blaming the editors. It's not even their fault. That was goofy. Cole Bobo says, I was hearing that people thought Anton and Madison were together before the reunion. I did see a TikTok. I think they did like a TikTok together. They posted a pic together. Was Loki hoping it was true? I mean, whatever. Girl, whatever. I do think it's interesting because who they are talking to on podcasts are Netflix approved, usually like Nick Viall, AD. Has AD broken any of the news this season? I wonder. I don't listen. I don't listen to any of these really. I just see, the clips, the summaries on Reddit and things. But I feel like the AD podcast, from what I've heard and seen, which is nothing, I haven't seen much, it's pretty fluffy. Like, they don't really get deep into tea or reveal anything new. Nick Viall, yes. The people reveal a lot there. That's a huge platform. I think people just want to, like, give him something good. But, yeah, I don't know the AD. Yeah, Allie and Anton, Mickey says, Allie and Anton seemed like they barely talked about their issues. Yeah, and so they were on different pages. He was saying they never... Wait. She was saying they never had deep conversations on camera. And he was saying they never had deep conversations... No, on camera. One of them said, we don't have deep conversations on camera. One of them said, we don't have deep conversations off camera. She was saying they don't have deep conversations off camera. It doesn't matter. They were on different pages. They never had deeper, serious conversations. And that was a big reason she said no at the altar. She's saying, like, the stuff she said at the altar was, like, true to her. Like, she felt he was a different person in the pods than what we saw, or what she saw in real life after, that they didn't have the same kind of conversations in depth or anything real. They ask about the truck driver comments from her friends, and she says that was not an influence for her decisions. Do I care? No. I mean, it was rude of her friends. It was weird that's out of all his red flags, that was, like, not a red flag. They were like, you shouldn't be with a truck driver. It made no sense, but also I didn't care to hear the answers or justification. And the Lachey's want to ask her, what was her break moment, like her ick moment with Anton, and she says him wearing flip-flops, which were actually slides. They show them at the end. Kind of like in a Cuties scene way, almost. Like at the very end of the reunion, they just put in clips of Anton's slides at the honeymoon. Okay. I mean, I get that's like an ick thing, but she didn't answer the question. She's very, like, she will not answer the questions. Like the whole season, she was very coy. Always just, like, had, like, a sly smile. And not really revealing her thoughts. And she said no comment about if she's in a relationship, which sounds like she is, but with someone that does not want to be publicized. And he had his girlfriend in the audience. We said that. I think that's it. Oh, and his friend is no longer with Melissa. Whatever. Um, I don't think there was a lot of theories about Melissa and if she was like shady for bringing up this stuff to Allie. I appreciated it, just, I mean, for the entertainment, first and foremost, of course, but I don't know. I felt like she was really concerned about if they were going to strip clubs or the bachelor party. Um, Maybe she didn't have much trust in this Joe guy, the other Joe, and, that's why they broke up. That was so annoying, like, girl flip-flops, whatever. Yeah. I was like, girl, answer the question. Why did you say no to him? I mean, she said it before, but I don't know. What was he supposed to wear to the beach? Yeah, true. And, like, his feet looked very normal. Like, he didn't have, like, scary feet. And I say that because, like, I watch Vanderpump Rules, and Jax on that show, he has, like, well, he has a foot fetish, very openly, but he has some really ugly feet, like, really scary looking feet. So, I understand if it was that situation, like, oh my god, I'm scared, I guess. If it was Jack's level feet, but they looked like normal feet, so they showed us the feet, and they were normal. Okay, finally, Edmund and KB, they were kind of interesting. I mean, nothing too new with them. We had heard this from her in their arguments, but their big disagreement still is that he was very different off camera, and he was a lot more dismissive of her off camera, and she feels like his emotions at the beginning of their relationship were more manipulative. And she clarified that it wasn't in the pods where she felt that. She appreciated his emotion in the pods. We saw that. But once they got to the real world, in situations where she would tell him, like, I didn't like how you did that, or call him out on something, then he would just, like, cry and get on his knees and, throw a little tantrum. And those are the moments of emotion that she did not like. And then also, at a certain point, like, she said 10 days into their relationship, he was like, I'm going to stop with the tears. And he stopped crying about everything. And that made her think, like, his tears were manipulative in the first place. So that's her side. And he does not agree, of course. He says, like, he kept saying he didn't commit, like, any repeated offenses with her, which she says he did. Like, he was always often dismissive off camera, or he would, like, pick a fight before cameras went up, and so once she would be on camera, she would look, like, angry, and she was very conscious of the trope, which is something, black people on TV, black women especially, on reality TV have to be very conscious of, that white people don't have to think about, that's their privilege. But the trope, it's a very big trope, and especially in reality TV, and, like, early reality TV, the angry black woman trope, it was used and abused. So many women fell victim to this kind of, like, edit, like a villain edit, systemic racism, all those things. So I understand her frustration with this, and, like, him just not being conscious of it, because even as a man, he has male privilege and wasn't thinking of it like that, maybe. I don't know what he was thinking, but she, like, specifically asked him to stop picking a fight before cameras went up, and he kept doing it, I guess. But he maintains, like, I don't know, he didn't repeat offenses. He also was like, she was PMSing sometimes. And I was like, I mean, she was PMSing once. You were together 1 month. So, I don't think that was just once. Whatever. A says, I believe KB honestly, and I think he is manipulative. Even if he is struggling mentally, he is still a grown man weaponizing those perceptions. I think so as well. Did Edmund also seem a lot more toned down at this reunion? He did. Even his outfit. I was shocked about his outfit. Very, like, the most neutral of everybody. Luna said, I appreciate her speaking on the angry black woman trope. Oh, sorry, your message went. I appreciate that as well, even if the message went away, because I think if people don't say it, people don't think about it, or people that aren't black women like herself of that experience. So it's important to call it out so that, you know, audiences don't just default her into that trope. But yeah, I believe her, and she apologized again for cussing him out. That felt genuine, and that he doesn't deserve that. He was also not, like, I was a little worried or, like, concerned he would come to this reunion very, like, upset with her for the no at the altar, because it was so emotional seeing him at the altar. Like, Allie and Anton's wedding felt very different than theirs, or Allie's no felt a lot less intense than KB's no to Edmund, just based on their reactions. So I was scared he was going to come in this reunion like, you broke my heart, I'll never recover from this, or I'm still, you know, something. But no, he was, like, felt moved on enough and not, like, harping on the no at the altar or not blaming her, like, not upset about it. So I don't know, I think they're in a good place. They both, like, the Lachey's try to mediate and be like, okay, now say something nice about each other, basically. Not like that, but they're like, say some final words to, like, move on from this, and they both take kind of the high road there and say nice things about each other, and that she says, like, he taught her a lot, that she loved him for real, apologizes for the cussing. He says, like, he was locked in, that she's amazing. He couldn't get a woman like her outside of this, so they end up well. And I was glad he wasn't, like, coming in attacking her for the no at the altar, because I do think it was the right decision. I think it was dragged a little far going all the way to the altar and the whole farce of the wedding, but that's the show and whatever. Let's see, y'all are saying things. Mickey says, I agree, I'm glad she talked about the angry black woman trope. If this was a better reunion, we would have gotten into KB being a social worker mode with him. It's true, yeah, because their dynamic was just very, like, unhealthy in that way. Dawn says, Edmund has huge nice guy syndrome, whatever else he has going on. Yeah, even if KB stayed for clout, her feelings about his manipulative tears were valid. Yeah, I agree. I believe her that he was different off camera, because she said that the whole time, and he didn't deny that, really. A says somehow the UK season breakups felt way more intense. Did they? I'm trying to remember the UK season. I'm kind of blanking because it happened right before the season. Luna says, okay, I appreciate re-bringing up the comment. I appreciate her speaking to the angry black woman trope. I think he's not great at communicating, but I hope she attempted to speak to him on more dignified ways, and we just didn't see it. Yeah. It sounds like a lot happened off camera with them too, and hard to know, because yeah, I agree with what y'all are saying, that he's not a good communicator. He's a little rambly and a little all over the place. Like, his responses and his side was very, like, he was locked in. I was locked in on you, and like just kind of saying stuff, and not really. I mean, he disagreed with her side of things, but yeah, he doesn't communicate very clearly. And they did tell the story about like an example of when he was using tears of manipulation, or just like using or resorting to tears when he got called out on something. And it wasn't KB. I thought it was interesting that it wasn't KB related, that someone else, when they were moving into their apartment, said he was obnoxious. And I'm just like, who just goes around telling someone they're obnoxious? But I mean, he is bouncing off the walls. Who knows what he was doing? But apparently he was like mad about this, and KB said like, well, maybe you were being obnoxious, and then that's when he cried and was on his knees. And then that was right before the cabinet thing, when he got in the cabinet, and she was saying like that's why she was over it, kind of like, because they had just had this whole thing of him like crying about being called obnoxious by somebody, and her agreeing. Oh my god, Cal, Billy, okay, UK, you're jogging my memory. Oh my god, Cal, oh my god, don't remind me about Cal. He's so crazy. I can't believe it. Cal and Rover, oh my god. And then Billy, crazy Billy, oh my god. Now I'm remembering. It's all coming back. Poor Ashley. Justice for Ashley. Yeah. Yeah, Cal and Billy, they had like a breakup pact. What the heck? Wait, they got married, didn't they? Oh my god. Oh my god, I remember the UK season's flooding back. It was decent if y'all are looking for an extra season. They just announced Love is Blind Italy, which I don't know if I'm watching. I mean, I bet it's gonna be juicy because Italians have the passion. But I just struggle with countries that I have like no connection to. Kind of, or that I don't know the language. Even though I have covered a few, Brazil and Japan, that I don't know the language, but it's just harder to understand like the cultural nuances, or like if the subtitle translation is all the way there. I don't know. But people had said a lot about France, but now I'm kind of burned out a little bit after this season. It was kind of a lot. Maybe I'll revisit it. People were really into France right before this season came out. I don't know. I get a little Love is Blinded out after a main season. Luna says, why did we not address the last scene of episode 6? Was that not... Oh, the Joe incoherent drunk scene, I believe that was. We didn't address a lot of things. None of the drinking across the board. Joe in that scene, Anton, Annie. I think they're scared and it's too tricky. Like I saw Anton made like a whole TikTok about how he's not an alcoholic. Which he doesn't owe us saying if he is or isn't. That's his own journey to figure out. But it was like, I don't know. I feel like it makes him seem more like an alcoholic to make a TikTok being like, I'm not. He was like, it was a stressful time, whatever. So I don't know. I think it was too dicey. They were scared of any real topic. The homophobia, the drinking, drugs, maybe, potentially. I feel like Annie maybe had something. Because their fights were so random and just so rambly and going in circles. Maybe it was just alcohol. But I don't know. Edmund crying about not getting sex. He was entitled to her body. That's too... I feel like all of these things are too dark for this like lighthearted reunion. But listen, Andy Cohen would ask all of these things. Absolutely. Love is Blind has always been really fluffy with their reunions. I don't know if it's Lila Shay's fault or like a bigger showrunner and producer decision. I assume it's that really, because the hosts are really just figureheads reading cards and teleprompters. Um, as much as we like to harp on the Lachey's, um, I just think Love is Blind is not that kind of show. But like, come on, why is Andy Cohen like the only one? Like, he's the only host that really presses all, like, every point, everything someone does. He talks about it. He asks about it. He presses. He's like, but wait, why wouldn't you? Like, he always follows up. I don't know. And it's like one guy doing every Bravo thing. Like, he needs help. Who can step up? Yeah, they were scared to ask anything real, it felt like. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reunion. That's everything we had. We end with Jordan's birthday because they don't have any married couples to toast to. No announcement of next season, no old contestants, which is shocking to me because they have so many and they show up to things. Like, Janina was hosting like the real life watch party for the reunion in Denver. She's around. When I went to the Love is Blind pop-up thing here in Austin, so many contestants were here. So it's like, I'm shocked. I mean, I assume they didn't invite them because I think these people jump at the opportunity to be on TV. So it seems like a production decision. Maybe they were just like, let's just get this over with. Like, this season was a flop. Let's move it along. The musical performance. Yeah. So they started with a musical performance. Miles Smith. I've heard the song because I danced to it at workout classes. Unfortunately. Miles Smith, he did the nice to meet you song. Which, okay. I mean, the show is a launching pad because fucking Alex Warren. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I was trying to switch cams and I went to the intro. Yeah, Alex Warren last year at the reunion performed Ordinary, which became the Parasite on at the #1 spot on Billboard this whole year, which is crazy. I didn't realize till my friend told me. Like, did you know last season, Alex Warren premiered Ordinary? I was like, are you serious? That song? But yeah, Miles Smith. You know, this song is already big. I think it's kind of like, I feel like in the shaboozy country, like, bar song trend right now. You know, whatever. But they didn't play it all season, or I don't know. When they show these songs, I would think they would play them during the season. Like, if y'all haven't seen Love is Blind Mexico and like Argentina, I think Argentina specifically, they had a performance of the theme song, which was actually fun because the whole season they would play the theme song at the credits or like at the beginning, and I got used to the theme song and I was like, oh my god, the theme song. And then they played it live and I was like, okay, that makes sense. That was cute. Ordinary was Love is Blind's fault. I know, that's crazy. So yeah, like, if they had played this song the whole season, I think I'd be more like, okay, it's a theme song, sure. But these are just like random spots I think artist agents book to get exposure, and it's just like, whoever has like a very inoffensive song to play here. Netflix provides a lot of alcohol. They don't want their own traps revealed. That's a good point, Don. That's probably, they don't want to talk about that. It's the oldest trick in the reality TV book, huh? It's so true. I mean, it gave us some great drama this season. Uh, this season was so weird, but it was a ride, and I appreciated it. I liked it a lot more than last season. Honestly, season 8. Season 8 was a snooze, and I think it was like the Minnesota nice thing, a cultural thing perhaps. Denver was just chaotic. Maybe because Denver is such a like, people from all over move there, so it's kind of like, varied in experiences or something. But yeah, this is an interesting season. I appreciate y'all being here along for the ride this whole time. I'm very proud. This is my biggest month on YouTube ever, numbers wise. And partially it's due to Love is Blind. Partially also my Project Runway video was surprisingly successful. It was just kind of a bonus video I made for funsies. And it cracked 30,000 views, which is, oh, thanks so much, Luna, for supporting. It's just been such a big month for me, and I'm very proud, and I work really hard at YouTube, and I have a full-time job, and I get tired, and it's hard, and I love it. I love doing it. I'm not complaining, but it's really cool when the numbers, like, when people are here and people enjoy it and people subscribe and like, and I make a little money from it because I work a lot of hours and it's usually for no pay. No fees, like negligible pay, I would say. It takes a lot to make money on YouTube, so I really appreciate all of y'all support and y'all watching, and just being here in any way. This whole journey, so I'm so glad. I'm really hoping, kind of my goal is to reach 5,000 subscribers by the time I hit my 5-year anniversary, which is like January 1st of 2026. So I have like 2 months or so to get to 5,000. I think it's doable, but also it depends on my output and if people reach it and stuff. Oh, Luna says my Project Runway takes were on point. Project Runway getting renewed too. I know. I was like, oh my god, are you joking? I just posted a video eviscerating the show. I would think they would cancel it. I really thought they were going to cancel it because they had like no budget this season, and it's like it feels like they're trying to kill it. And then they renewed it, so that'll be interesting. I'll be watching. But man, I don't have much hope for it to improve. Oh, Mary says you don't have Netflix or care much for Love is Blind, but your videos make it fun. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try making a couple videos for the rest of the year. I'm gonna take a little break here. I hustled hard this October. But probably my next video I'm thinking is I wanted to make an annual series. I mentioned this last time about saying something nice about every main pop girl for the year, which pop music is not everyone's tea, but I think that's a fun challenge because stan culture is just like really toxic and negative, and for me it feels like a good challenge because I have my fave pop girls and I have like not so fave pop girls, and it's a interesting challenge to like even the playing field and be like, okay, what is everyone doing well? And I've also thought about making like the chaos version of that and like saying something critical about every main pop girl, but I just worry, I don't want to I just feel like women get so much shit already, but I would try to make it constructive. I don't know, so chaos version maybe someday. But saying something nice, I think it's a fun challenge, and I like inviting stans of every pop girl and making them feel welcome. So that's kind of the idea, but that's just like one of my fun videos for the year. Maybe I'll do Mormon Wives. I'll be watching that mid-November. Um, and yeah, whatever else comes out or pop culture things that inspire me. We'll see. But nothing major. No Love is Blind till next spring. Usually it's somewhere between February and April they release. We'll see what city it is. They didn't tell us. um, they are casting in my city, and I'm excited when that time comes. Probably gonna be like season 15 at this point because they're casting in like 5 cities all at once. They released the announcement for my city and like a bunch of other cities. Basically every other major U.S. city. So I think they're trying to be strategic and like about who comes next, like whoever's most successful or whatever. We'll see. But I appreciate y'all being here. Thanks so much. Cole Boba says, I've been watching a while. Your videos are so good. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all are so nice. And y'all make it so fun. I love the tradition of the live streams. I'm glad you were here. The reunions usually are not as well attended, but I think last year I did it on like Halloween night. So that's why tonight I hustled after my radio show to like come right here and do it now because tomorrow I have book club and then the next day is Halloween and people have plans. I don't have plans, but people have plans. So I was like, I need to just talk about it. Let's recap. Let's debrief. Hot takes right after it just aired. So good on all of us for doing our homework and watching it on time. Did you watch Survivor tonight too? No, I had to miss Survivor. Don't tell me what happened. No spoilers. Oh my god. I do watch Survivor and I didn't watch tonight. I had to skip because I had a radio show and then and watching Love is Blind in time for the stream. But I'll watch it tomorrow. And it's nice without commercials on Paramount, at least. But yeah, I'm watching Dancing with the Stars. Who are y'all rooting for? I'm rooting for Robert, of course. America's sweetheart, who's not even American. Jordan Childs, of course. Rooting for her. Rooting for Elaine. Meredith Blake, always iconic. It was so sad last night. She like had an injury. She couldn't compete. I was so scared she was gonna go home. I think those are my top 3. But I also love Danielle Fishel. I grew up watching Boy Meets World. Love Boy Meets World. I mean, Whitney's great. She's great at dancing. But I just can't root for her over these other people that are just so cool and wholesome IRL. Like, and I'm not talking about villain on this show, just more like values and whatever. I'm not watching, but Elaine, I know, Elaine, she's so good. And like, she's older and older contestants have a harder time. And there's like another guy that's there who's older, Andy, who should have gone home a long time ago. I'm so sorry. The man is struggling. Yes, he's improving, but him and Elaine are very close in age. And Elaine is like dancing her butt off and doing very intricate steps. And him not so much. So I have been gagged at the eliminations on Dancing with Stars. The many talented people that have gone before him. Lauren from Fifth Harmony, I was so upset. I was so upset when she went home. That was the gag of the season. And then the Pentatonics guy. So, I've been gagged. Dylan, oh my god, Dylan, I forgot. I knew I was forgetting someone. He's great. And I like Dylan a lot. From Traders. His voice is so nostalgic. If I close my eyes, I'm like, oh my god, Troy Bolton. And he's really good at dancing too. So I am rooting for him as well. I'm rooting for a lot of people and they're really good. So it's kind of a toss-up. I think Robert kind of has it in the bag, ultimately. But there's so much talent on this season. A lot of like athleticism and dance background, like gymnastics background, dance background. People that with no dance background but somehow amazing, like Robert, and Dylan's pretty good too. Which I'm like, you should. Zach can dance, so you got the genes. But yeah, Dylan is still there, and he did great last night. Yeah, so I'm just watching Dancing with the Stars. There's not much to make a video about or anything for Dancing with the Stars. I wish I could talk about it more, but it's like, that's that. But I enjoy watching it. But yeah, thanks so much for being here. This was the reunion. Could have been an email. As we all say. Luna says, gonna get a snack, go to bed. You're one of my faves. Bye. Bye, Luna. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks everybody. I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a safe Halloween, weekend. Subscribe if you can, if you haven't. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me. Haven't been the best at posting, but thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one. And at the next Love is Blind season, if you're a Love is Blinder. Bye.